Can you still hear the distant rumble of a motorcycle engine winding down a two-lane road, the breeze tugging at your hair, and the scent of gasoline mixed with wildflowers in the morning air? The 1950s were a golden age for motorcycle enthusiasts, when the sleek lines of chrome and steel promised the kind of freedom that only existed on the open road. Every ride back then felt like a declaration, a way to break free from small-town routines and taste true adventure. From cafe racers lined up outside diners to the growl of Harleys echoing across the countryside, these bikes weren't just machines, they were symbols of youth, rebellion, and possibility. Every turn brought you closer to something new, a song on the jukebox, a friendly wave from another rider, or the endless horizon itself. Do you remember the thrill of that first ride, or the friends you made along the way, bound by nothing? More than a love for the open highway? Let's hop back in time and rediscover how 50s motorcycles captured a nation's yearning for independence, and why those memories still spark something inside us today. Step back in time for a moment. Picture America in the aftermath of World War II, highways stretching out with promise, small towns awakening to the powerful sound of V-twin engines, and young men, some in uniform, some home for good, yearning for a new kind of freedom. The 1950s marked a pivotal moment in American history, and motorcycles played a starring role in this unfolding drama. In a nation hungry for adventure, these machines became more than a mode of transportation. They were a ticket to the kind of unrestrained living that defined an entire generation. But how did motorcycles become so woven into the American fabric during the 50s? It all started in the years leading up to the decade. Returning GIs had gotten their first taste for motorcycles while serving overseas, many as dispatch riders, delivering crucial messages across rugged terrain. Some had coveted the nimble British bikes they'd encountered abroad, BSA, Norton, and Triumph, that later helped shape the American scene. Others longed for the muscular roar of Harley-Davidsons back home, recalling how those machines had helped the Allies roll to victory. When the war ended, surplus motorcycles flooded US markets, making them affordable to the average young man. Just a few $100s could win you the keys to adventure. It's easy to romanticize those years, but the facts reveal just how life-changing this era was. By 1950, there were more than 500,000 registered motorcycles on American roads, a dramatic leap from pre-war numbers. American manufacturers, especially Harley-Davidson and Indian, were quick to recognize the shift. No longer was the motorcycle merely a tool for police or the military. It was something young Americans wanted for themselves, a path to personal expression and identity. Even smaller makes, like Whizzer and Cushman, found their own niche, with lightweight scooters providing a stepping stone for the next generation of bikers. Yet, for many, the motorcycle was more than just metal and leather. These bikes represented a rare kind of promise, the ability to break away from life's routines and script your own story, at least for a Sunday afternoon. Do you remember the first time you kicked a starter and felt the engine leap to life beneath you? That sense of possibility, of being able to go anywhere, no map, no timetable, was the real allure. In a world before the interstate system was finished, when most highways were narrow ribbons winding past fields and over hills, a motorcycle put you closer to places and people you might never have known otherwise. There's a fascinating twist to this history that many folks might not know. Some of the earliest biker clubs were made up of ex-military men looking to recapture the camaraderie they'd shared during the war. Groups like the Booze Fighters and the Hells Angels started as tight-knit circles of veterans, more interested in belonging than breaking the law. The infamous Hollister Rally of 1947, often dramatized in movies, was less a riot than a misunderstood gathering of exuberant bikers. The press ratcheted up the notoriety, and suddenly motorcycles took on a rebel image they'd carry through the decade and beyond. But rebellion wasn't the only story. Motorcycles of the 50s were also synonymous with family. In small towns and big cities alike, weekend rides became a cherished ritual. Fathers would teach their sons how to handle the clutch, neighbors gathered for impromptu races, and couples set off on sunrise rides that stretched long into the afternoon. The run to the local drive-in, or a camping trip with nothing but a sleeping bag and a bike, was as much about building memories as racking up miles. Do you recall a special ride, a summer trip, or a spontaneous detour that still makes you smile? Manufacturers, sensing the public's appetite for adventure, poured creativity into designing machines that would appeal to these new riders. Harley-Davidson, for example, released the Hydra-Glide in 1949, a model that set the tone for the entire next decade, combining strong lines, larger engines, and, notably, the hydraulic front fork for a smoother ride. Indian, too, responded with its classic Chief, instantly recognizable for its sweeping fenders and deep rumble. But the winds of change were blowing. While Indian would shutter its doors in 1953, temporarily ending one of America's most storied brands, European imports were creeping into the picture, smaller, lighter, and sometimes even faster than their American counterparts. You might not believe this, but for a few years in the 50s, British motorcycles actually outsold Harleys in certain regions. Riders were drawn to the sports bike's nimble handling and sleek styling, an early sign that the motorcycle market would only become more diverse and competitive as time went on. Isn't it funny to think that for a while, the heart of American freedom rode on imported wheels? Of course, that only fueled the drive among US makers to up their game, leading to even more innovation in the years ahead. At the same time, the roads themselves were changing. The Federal Aid Highway Act of 1956 had just been signed, launching the construction of an unprecedented interstate network. Suddenly, it wasn't just small towns or country roads within reach. A new world of coast-to-coast travel was opening up, making the idea of cross-country rides not just a fantasy, but a genuine possibility. The thought of riding from New York to Los Angeles on nothing but a winding blue highway, what an invitation to dream back then. But that's not all. 50s motorcycle culture had its own unspoken etiquette, a shared code among riders. A simple wave on the highway, a quick pit stop at a roadside diner, a borrowed tool in a parking lot. These small gestures proved the brotherhood was real. Did you ever encounter that sense of connection, even among strangers on bikes, as if the machine itself was like a secret handshake? It's one of those magic pieces of the past that seems to linger even decades later. As the decade moved forward, the motorcycle's place in American life was undeniable. It was equally at home outside the high school gym, parked by Main Street's corner store, or lined up outside new motorcycle clubs blooming in every town. From the glossy catalogue pages of family magazines to the first flickers of motorcycles on television and film, the 50s planted the seeds for a culture that would bloom in the years to come. Now, if you think the motorcycles of the 1950s were just about history, just wait until you see how the machines themselves transformed. Features that now seem standard were cutting-edge innovations back then. So hang on tight, because in our next part, we're going to delve into the engines, the chrome, and the clever advances that made these motorcycles true icons of their time. As we bring our ride through the unforgettable world of 1950s motorcycles to a close, it's worth pausing for a moment and letting those memories settle in, much like the deep echo of an engine slowly fading into the distance. From the post-war dreamers searching for adventure to neighborhood kids gathering at the corner just to catch a glimpse of a gleaming Harley or Triumph, these machines did far more than get us from point A to B. They carried our hopes, our youthful ambitions, and a yearning for something just beyond the next bend. We traced the roots of the motorcycle's boom after the war, saw how returning GIs and small-town mechanics turned surplus machines into beloved treasures, and remembered how legendary makers like Harley-Davidson shaped an era with icons like the Hydra-Glide, while British imports challenged ideas about speed and style. The highways themselves called out to us, new, unending, full of promise, inviting us to ride out not just for the sake of the journey, but for the stories and friendships waiting at every rest stop and roadside diner. The impact of 50s motorcycles stretches far beyond the gleam of chrome or the rumble beneath your boots. This was an era that gave rise to a culture defined by freedom, ingenuity, and community, where a simple wave between passing bikers meant instant kinship. We felt that bond in every ride, every gathering, every helping hand on the shoulder of the road. These bikes taught us that adventure didn't always require faraway places. Sometimes all it took was the courage to pick a direction, start the engine, and let the wind point the way. In the saddle, troubles faded as mile after mile unspooled behind us, replaced by the peace and satisfaction that only the open road can truly deliver. Today, those rides live on as bright chapters in our minds, woven into the tapestry of who we are. The very spirit of independence that defined the 1950s, its sense of possibility, its drive to break boundaries, still pulses in the heart of every rider who feels most alive with the world sprawling out ahead of them. Looking back, what stands out for you? Was it the first time you felt the engine roar beneath you, the shared laughter with fellow riders at a filling station, or maybe just those quiet stretches through golden fields at sunset? Which moments from those years do you still carry with you like old snapshots tucked away for safekeeping? If this story sparked a memory, I'd love for you to share it in the comments below. Let's celebrate together the rides and friendships that shaped our lives. Please remember to like this video and subscribe if you'd like to join us for more journeys back in time. And if you know someone who'd cherish these memories, share this ride with them too. More stories from the golden age of Americana are on the horizon, each one ready to stir up those familiar, heartfelt feelings. Until our roads cross again, keep those memories polished and that spirit of adventure alive. Because once you've felt that freedom, with the wind in your hair and the world rushing by, that sense of possibility never really fades. It just waits for the next chance to ride.